Let's throw away those JSON files and let's add DataGen to our project. 121 Minecraft modding courses available down below, with over 11 hours of content covering everything from the basics all the way to block entities and custom mobs. Alright, friends, I'm back and tell you once more, and in this tutorial we're going to be adding a custom DataGen to our project. And, well, custom DataGen, the first question is, what the frick is this? Like, does that even mean? And secondly, we are finally using the tutorial mod data generator class that we've seen from the very beginning over here. If you do not have this, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, then you probably did not follow the setup tutorial correctly, because that should definitely be here. Regardless of this though, what does DataGen do? Well, DataGen generates us all of those JSON files, the block states JSON file and the block model JSON files and the item model JSON files, and every single data JSON file can be done via DataGen. That means the data folder, delete, gone. Block states folder, delete, gone. Models folder, delete, gone. So I have deleted now all of those except for the lang folder and the textures folder, of course. Now, mind you, you probably should not do this, though, what I've just done. You should probably back those up somewhere safely so that you can return to the JSON files at some point if you might need to. Regardless of this though, let's start with the DataGen. In the tutorial mod package, we're going to right-click new package called DataGen. Inside there, we'll need 5 classes. The ModBlockTagProvider class. Here we go. Then the ModItemTagProvider class. Then we have the ModLootTableProvider. There we go. Then we have the ModModelProvider, making sure we write this correctly as well. There you go. Nope, that is not written correctly. It is not a mid-model provider, it's the ModModelProvider. There we go. And last but certainly not least, the ModRecipeProvider. There we go. And those 5 are it. We're going to start with the tag provider here in the beginning. It's actually fairly straightforward. We will extend the block tag provider over here, this one from NetMicroFabric something, so that the fabric tag provider dot basically gets added automatically. We can hover over this and implement the configure method. We hover over this again, create constructor matching super, and here, well, we basically just add this stuff to the configure method. So to add something to a tag, we want to call the get or create tag builder method, passing in a tag. So for example, block tags.pickaxeMineable, and then we can add stuff to it. So for example, modblocks.pinkGarnetBlock. And then we can call the add method however often we want. So we can add the raw pink garnet, we can add the ore, we can add the deep slate ore, and there should be another one, and that is the magic block. And I think those are all of the different blocks that we have indeed. And there we go. Now they're going to be added to the pickaxe mineable once we run DataGen. That's really it. Same thing goes, get or create tag builder, block tags dot, let's say we need an iron tool over here. So needs iron tool for modblocks dot the deep slate ore. There you go. And now this is added to the needs iron tool. That's literally it. That's all we have. And that's done. I don't know what else to tell you. That is how easy it is. It's almost even easier, because then you might say, well, okay, but maybe it's complicated to use this. Nope. Data generators class, in the uninitialized data generator, we wanted to get the fabric data generator.pack. We're going to call this the pack over here, equal to fabric data generator.createPack. And then we're going to say pack.addProvider. And then simply put in ModBlockTagProvider : new. That's it. And now those JSON files will generate. So if I go to the top right on the data generation, I can run this. And if you don't have this at the top here, you can go to Gradle Tasks Fabric and you can run the DataGen right here as well. That totally works. But now that we have this set up, right, the block tags will generate. You can see written 2 of 2. When you get a process finish with exit code 0, then you know it worked. The most important thing to look out for is the all providers took however many milliseconds, and then under source main generated, you can now find under the data folder needs iron tool over here with a deep slate ore in, and the mineable pickaxe has all of the blocks that we defined. And maybe you now see how useful this could be, because, well, we're just gonna continue, and you will find this is gonna get more useful as we continue, I'm telling you. The ModItemTagProvider will extend from the item tag provider over here, once again, making sure we choose the one from NetFabric MC, so on and so forth. Implementing the method, hovering over this again, create constructor matching super. Here we want to choose, I believe, it does not matter which one we choose. We're going to choose the second one over here. That's going to be fine. And then here, once again, not get name, but get or create tag builder, mod tags this time, .items, .transformable items. And here we're going to add all of the items that were well, that we can transform, right? So the pink garnet, we're going to add the raw pink garnet, and then we're also going to have normal items actually this time, items.pole. Then we're going to do the stick, and we're going to do the apple. I don't even know which ones we had before, but that's going to be fine, right? We can add whatever we want. And this is then also adding them to a custom tag in this case, right? So that's pretty cool. And it is as easy as then literally going in here, pack.addProvider, ModItemTagProvider, : new, ending it with a semicolon, done, right? I'm going to even jump over like generating this because it's so freaking easy, right? There's literally no reason to do this. Next point of order, the loot. The loot is very interesting because this will extend the Fabric block loot table provider, because this is specifically for blocks in this case. Hovering over this, implementing the generate method, hover over this again, create constructor, matching super. We're going to make this public over here. That's quite important. The rest can stay how it is. And then in the generate method, well, how do we add drops? Well, we call the add drop method and then passing in a block, right? So let's say, for example, the pink garnet block, and now the pink garnet block will drop itself. That's it. One line, done, right? The same works with the raw pink garnet and with the magic block. Literally all we need to do. Like that's how easy it is, right? What about ores? Sure. Add drop, pink garnet ore. Next line, ore drops, passing in modblocks.pink garnet ore, mod items.pink garnet. Or actually raw pink garnet, because when you mine in an ore, then you get raw pink garnet. The only thing where we will need a custom helper method is for the deep state ore. Now, why would this be the case? Well, because if we were to, for example, look at the copper ore drops over here, we do have a block that we can add here, but sadly the raw copper is hard-coded. That means that basically what I've done is I've taken this exact method, I've copied it over, changed it up the tiniest bit. I'll be copying this over. This is going to be available to you down below as well. And you can see it is super simple. We now have an item over here that we can define, and we can also define the minimum and the maximum amount of drops. And the greatest thing is that it's super easy to use, right? So now we take the deep state ore over here, call as a second parameter the multiple ore drops method, modblocks.deepStateOre, then define the item, which is going to be raw pink garnet. I'm going to say between 2 and 7, let's say, or 3 and 7, right? What the heck? Right, so now if I mine deep state ore, I'll get between 3 and 7 drops. All done with one freaking line. And I want to reiterate, specifically the deep state ore loot table was extremely, that was quite long. That's all done with one line. You know, fair enough, with a helper method, but you can reuse this helper method how often you want, right? That's the cool thing about it. So I'm saying this is pretty cool. Of course, once again, in the data generators class, very straightforward, pack.addProvider, ModLootTableProvider, : new, and there we go. Done, done, and done. Next point of order is the models. ModModelProvider, very, very interesting. This will extend the Fabric model provider, passing in, hovering over this, implementing the generate block states and block models method over here, and the generate item models. Hover over again, create constructor matching super, and this one too, very, very easy because we have access to the block state model generator as well as the item model generator. Let's start with the items. Super simple. We take the item model generator parameter over here, .register, passing in ModItems.pink garnet, and then the model that we want, models.generated. Done. We duplicate this with Control D, and we literally just do this for all of our items. So we're going to have a cauliflower, we're going to have the chisel right here, and we're going to have the starlight ashes. And I believe those should be all of the different items we have. Indeed, there we go. That's it. That's all we need. And that this is basically the generated model. We've seen this previously, and there we go. When it comes to the block states, it might actually be almost easier. And that is going to be block state model generator .register simple cube all, passing in the block. So ModBlocks pink garnet block, done. We duplicate this a bunch of times. I don't think we needed this often, because we got the ore, we got the deep state ore, and we got the magic block, and that's it. Done. I don't know what to tell you. And by the way, this one line for the pink garnet block will generate the block states JSON file, the block model JSON file, and the item model JSON file. If that's not helpful, I'm gonna be real, I don't know what is. But with that done, we can add this to pack.addProvider, ModModelProvider, : new, and done. And now lastly, we get to the recipes, which is some of my favorite because that is going to be really freaking cool. This will extend the Fabric recipe provider, hovering over this, implementing the generate method, hovering over this again, create constructor matching super, and here, Oh, this is going to be so sweet. Because what we'll start with is the following. What we will start with is with the following idea. If we take a raw pink garnet and we smelt it, we're going to get a pink garnet out of it. But if we were to take the pink garnet ore and the deep state ore, we would also get a pink garnet out of it if we smelt it. Is this accurate? Yes, it is. So how about we just make a list over here? We're going to make it a list of item convertible, right? And we're just going to call it pink underscore garnet underscore smeltables, right? Smeltables, like this. And then I'm going to say this is equal to a list of mod items.raw pink garnet, mod blocks.pink garnet ore, and maybe mod blocks.pink garnet deep state ore, just for the sake of argument, right? And what if now, just as a thought experiment, I would call the offer smelting method, passing in the exporter, passing in the previously considered item over here, like the list, right? The list of item convertibles, passing in the recipe category of miscellaneous, saying that what I get out of it is a pink garnet, saying that I get 0.25 experience, that the cooking time is going to be 200 ticks, and that the group is going to be pink garnet. What if I were to do this, just for the sake of argument? Would this possibly generate 3 different smelting recipes, all with one line for all 3 of those particular items that I've added to the list? And I could, in theory, add multiple items to this, and they would all make a smelting recipe. And feasibly, I could press Control D to duplicate this and make the offer blasting call right here and change the cooking time to 100. And all of a sudden, instead of just 3 recipes, I now, with 2 lines, generate 6 recipes. Yes, that's what I'm literally saying. This is by far one of the coolest things, but that's not everything. Let's say, well, you know what? The pink garnet, right? If I take 9 of them in an inventory, and I then can create a pink garnet block with it, right? Yeah, that is called a offer reversible, compacting recipes over here. And that's literally also just one line. Recipe category of building blocks. Mod items.pink garnet. Recipe category of decorations. I'm not quite sure, but sure, why not? Mod blocks.pink garnet block. I believe this is the right order, right? Base item, compact item. Yes, the compact item is the one that is the shaped recipe converts 9 items into a square of the compacted form of the item. If it's the wrong way around, then we'll see it, I guess. But yes, that's it. And there are so many more different recipes that you have available here. It is actually nuts, okay? There's so many of them. It's actually crazy. I believe even the recipe provider has even more recipes. So you can definitely take a look at this. It is quite amazing. But there are 2 more things that you might want to take a look at. Maybe even 3. One of them are shaped recipes. The other one is shapeless recipes. And what happens if you have the same thing that you get out of a recipe, right? So let's first of all make a shaped recipe JSON builder.create, passing in the recipe category of miscellaneous. Then whatever the output is, so this is mod items dot, let's say a raw pink garnet, and this is going to be the shaped one. So let's actually do mod blocks dot raw pink garnet block in this case, because what I want to do is basically recreate the reversible here just so that you've seen how to make the shaped recipes and the shapeless recipes. So then we're going to define a pattern 3 times over here, and the pattern string. This should become quite obvious what this is. This is going to be like raw. This is supposed to be a raw pink garnet block. I'm pretty sure I've said raw pink garnet block too, but there you go. So the pattern is RRR. So basically we fill the crafting table with Rs. We're going to say the input here is going to be an R, and that is going to be a mod items dot raw pink garnet. Please note that this is a character. You can note this by seeing that it is a singular quotation mark and not a double quotation mark. Very easy mistake to make. Here we're going to add a criterion, which is has item, passing in mod items dot raw pink garnet. And then the second one is the condition from item mod items dot raw pink garnet. This just basically allows us to unlock this particular recipe as soon as we have a raw pink garnet in our inventory. And then we call the offer to method, passing in the exporter, and that is it. Done. Shaped recipe done. Really freaking easy. Similarly, we can do a shapeless recipe JSON builder dot create recipe category dot miscellaneous. This time we're going to basically reverse this. So we're going to make a raw pink garnets, and 9 of those when we offer a particular input, and the input is literally just going to be mod blocks dot raw pink garnet block. we don't need to define any input. We just need to define a criterion, calling the hasItem method ModBlock_start_raw_pink_garnet_block. And the second parameter is the conditions from item, ModBlock_start_raw_pink_garnet_block, calling the offer_to method, passing in the exporter, and done. Really straightforward, nothing too crazy, all well. But what if now I want another method or another recipe where I also get like, I don't know, 32 raw pink garnets, whatever it is, and instead of a raw pink garnet block, I get like a magic block over here, right? Just for the sake of argument, right? I put a magic block in, and now I get 32 raw pink garnets out of it. The issue is that the offer_to method, and when we add it to the exporter, what happens here is that it will just be named after whatever the result is. So here, there's a neat trick, and that is we can add an identifier, identifier.of, and we can say tutorialmod.modID, and then the name here, for example, raw_pink_garnet_from_magic_block, and now this is going to be the name of that new recipe. Super easy, super simple, and basically there's no way that at that point then you will have two recipes with the same name, because then of course the data generation is not going to work. With this done, we can now add this to our tutorial mod data generator here as well. Tag.addProvider, ModRecipeProvider, : new. And I don't know what to tell you, but that's it. We run the data gen and we'll see the immense amount of JSON files that will now be generated is actually pretty crazy. So, I mean, look at this. 48 JSON files written, including loot tables. As I've previously said, this entire loot table, 60 lines over here, have just been created with this one freaking line. I'm sorry. That is so good. That is, in my mind, this is absolutely amazing. This is why I think DataGen is super useful. Same with the recipes over here. We can see we got the raw pink garnet from Magic Block, right? All of that, all of this, all done, and it's all going to work. So the advancements, right, that is just to do with the recipes when they unlock. So they just automatically generate because we have in our recipes over here the criterion, but it can basically be ignored more or less. And the rest of this is super, super simple. It's really good to use. Yes, it will take some amount of time, as you can see by the length of the video, to set up once. However, if you set this up once, I'm telling you, you're never going to miss DataGen, right? Like, it's such a cool thing and it's so incredibly useful. The reason why we still have the en_use JSON file, because while yes, this could also be generated via DataGen, in my personal opinion, there is almost no reason to use this, because I would still have to write in one line per line, right? So I would still have to make a string that's exactly the same length as this. And yes, instead of doing item.tutorialmod.pink_garnet, I would just do modItems.pink_garnet. So that it is a little less prone to, let's say, typos. I don't know. In my personal opinion, it makes zero sense to do this. Also, there might be issues if you do it with DataGen when it comes to doing crowdsourced translations. I'm not sure how that is going to work. So in my personal opinion, I just keep it like this, because honestly, in my opinion, there's no added benefit to using translation and DataGen. But of course, if you want to do this, you can always check that out. I might, if there is an article, or link it in the description below of the Fabric Wiki. And yeah, that is it though. So we can now change. No, we don't want to run DataGen again. We don't need to. We want to change to the client again, run this, and actually see that everything is still working exactly like it was before. So let's take a look. And here we are in Minecraft. As you can clearly see, everything still has a texture. Everything still works, right? I can get my 9 pink garnets out here. I could even, take the magic block and have 32 raw pink garnet out of it. Absolutely freaking fantastic. You can see everything still has a texture. Everything's still working. So absolutely amazing. And yeah, so that is custom DataGen. And you might say, well, it was pretty nice. It was pretty good. But I don't know if this was really worth it. Well, just wait until the next freaking tutorial. Then you're going to see. Because next time in this video, that's where we'll add non-block blocks, including things like doors, trapdoors, and, stairs. And those JSON files, you will hope for DataGen at that point. But I'll hope to see you there. So, yeah,